Will the virtuous Sangha, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạt lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Nam mô Sa Nan Tho Su Chế Đô Ye La Hư Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xie. Nam mô Tát Đắc Tha Tô Ya Đa Ya La Ha Đế Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma, 100,000 million aeons, is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng she wei miao fa bai, jian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jie wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai chen shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Huineng, Venerable YongHua, Venerable left home people, and all good knowing advisors, Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Tổ Hệ Đăng, Tổ Tiên Hoa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Chư Phật菩萨六祖师父上人，各位持戒人，各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Hello everyone, today is the 22nd of August 2021. We are gathered here to continue discussing the last chapter of the 6th Patriarch Sutra, chapter 10, final instructions. It's a last word for his disciples. See what he teaches them to make sure they continue cultivating and do with what they learned from him so far. Okay, 79. Sutta text. Suppose someone asks, what is darkness? You should answer, brightness is the cause and darkness the condition.
设有人问，何名为暗？答曰：明是因，暗是缘。
All right, 80. I remember this is the section where one of his Master Showa disciples, when I first left the home life, was a novice. And her name is Heng Zhi. I called it Scary Nun. It terrified me. So she was proud to give us instructions on this in the Buddha Hall of City 10,000 Buddhas. And we were so impressed. But when I looked at it again, her instructions are not what the Master Huineng is teaching about right here. She says he taught the 36 pairs and opposites and so forth.
Master,
she got it all wrong.
Master, so, we're on page 217.
What page?
217.
217?
Yes. We were on page 217, not
Oh.
79.
Forget it then. I take it back. See, Heng Zhi, you are safe. I'm sorry, I badmouthed you. Let's see. So do I go real fast like this, or how does it work with this thing here? Okay, let's do it quicker. 217? And
Yes.
why did you leave it at 80? Whose idea was it? You tried to play a trick on me, see if I lost my marbles, or what?
Master, I'm sorry I mistaken it as the Patriarch Sutra.
You mistake the 6th Patriarch Sutra with the Avatamsaka Sutra? Sacrilegious! Go back to China! Good Lord!
The Chinese don't want me.
They don't want you anymore? Okay, very good. Well, they have some wisdom. Okay, I remember now. This is such a cool thing. I'm glad you took the time to add the Chinese, because I really don't trust the English translation at all. Okay. Let's go back to the thing again, because it predicates, this section here is between one generation, a 10th patriarch to 11th patriarch, and then from 11th patriarch to the 12th patriarch. And they're using the same Dharma applied to different people. Okay? So it's worth revisiting it. It's too bad we didn't finish it last week, but it actually is a good thing, because now I can explain to you better. Now I see the Chinese. The English translation, I don't like their translations. They have no business translating these Gungan, these koans. Okay, they don't understand. They're not that strong in Chan. His disciples. Okay, where are we? Okay, so we are 215, 217, right? Forget it. We'll go back to 215 because this is important. Now I have the Chinese. Okay, you want me to, or shall we skip this and move on to from 12 patriarch to 11 to 12? It's up to you. Huh? Redo it? You know, waste of your time. No one understands it. You're not the only one. It's perfectly okay. I told you the last time. You're not supposed to understand. If I explain everything to you in a way you understand it, then the Chan teachers after me will have no more secrets to teach you. That's why I cannot explain everything to you, because then you smart Alex will go around telling people you understand how to do certain teaching. We can't have that. That's why the fake monks who go around telling you that they understand certain teaching, okay, the good ones would not dare talk about it. The fake one will be talking about, and they plagiarize what I tell you, and then it would mess up a lot of teachers. Okay, there's no way for you to verify. That's why I don't tell you everything. I can't. I don't want to. Okay, I'd be in trouble with 6 patriarch. Okay, so 11 patriarch went to 10 patriarch and asked him, okay, I want to accomplish Buddhahood. This is how patriarchs talk, folks. They get to the point immediately. They don't beat around the bush. How are you today? How's the weather? Is it too hot for you? Did you have a good lunch? No. They come to me and say, I want to become a Buddha. So it's a shock. So you see, it's an attack, if you will. You understand? It's boxing now. He's attacking you. He's jabbing you. Okay? Are you left-handed or right-handed? I'm right-handed. So you jab with the left hand. So I want to become a Buddha. That's a jab. Okay? That's what Chan patriarchs do to each other. They jab. Okay? 怎么才可以成佛呢? How do I do it? But the Chinese actually is even more forceful. Okay. So anyway, never mind. It just said, what do I do? Okay. So he jabs and he waits to see what the other guy does. Okay. So the 10th patriarch, Parshva, what a name. It's Indian. Oh, thank you. He says, so you want to become a Buddha? You see, he immediately challenges. So you want to become a Buddha? Okay. 现在这个没有成啊，就是So you want to become a Buddha, okay? That which is not a Buddha yet is. Can you change the English, please? If I type the English, I will lose my chain of thoughts. You got that? See? So he jabs in, and he says, he hit it right back. He says, you idiot. Why you ask? That's a patriarch. That's a teacher to the pupil. You're not impressed. You see, that's the difference between my English versus their English. It is just your present realization. No, this is brutality. You know, he hits it right back. So you want to become a Buddha? That which is not a Buddha yet actually is. But it's a nicer explanation. What I told you is what he meant in English. Did you type it? Type it? Can you type it? Because I said and I forgot immediately. Okay, give her a chance. The Chinese don't want her. The Chinese reject. So far, so good. You like it so far? They're very brutal. These monks, the Chinese monks are so, is it Chinese or, no, this is Indian monks. They're brutal. So the 11th patriarch, the student, and that's 215. Next one. So the student says, okay, 我现在没有成的就是佛. So he says, if what is not a Buddha yet, if you say that what is not a Buddha yet, okay, is the Buddha, how do I know? Okay, so the Chinese, a little bit longer, but we changed to the English because now the English translation is stronger than the Chinese itself. Okay, it's more insulting. How do I know? You say that what is not a Buddha yet actually is. Okay, meaning I'm a Buddha already. How do I know I'm a Buddha? So the English says, the retort, okay, the third phrase is, if you say what I think is not a Buddha yet is actually a Buddha, how do I know? Got that? Americans are they're insolent. So this is the English translation is good. So far so good. The Chinese they don't talk like that. Okay, but we are more insolent. You read the Chinese, actually is more polite. The English translation I gave you is really, really insolent. Okay, if you talk to me like that, I kick your butt. I will walk away. So far, so good. So now the teacher says, 你怎么知道没有成呢？继续佛。How do you know you're not a Buddha? You don't like it. I love that. The retort is even more brutal. How do you know? Because he says, see, the third guy, the second patriarch, the 11th patriarch says, how do I know for sure? I want to know for sure. And the retort is, how can you be so sure that you don't know along that line? Okay? But we translate it differently. You understand? That's the meaning behind the 10th patriarch. So you say, so I will give you the punch from the 10th patriarch. How do you know? Are you sure? How can you be sure you're not? Okay? They're playing with each other. Okay? What happened is that the student puts pressure on the teacher. Okay? And teacher plays game, he says, you're just stupid, I won't bother explaining to you. You know already, what do you waste my time for? That's Chinese for you. That's certain teaching. Questions, comments? This is far better than the English translation, isn't it? You see, it's clearly the person who translated the Chinese to English is Chinese. That's why they're still polite. How can you know that your president is not the Buddha? Oh well. How can you know? Stupid. Next. So far, so good? So with that, the sudden teaching is complete and transmitted to the next generation, the 11th generation. This is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to do from one generation to the next, okay? At their levels, they need to transmit their certain teaching. Questions, comments? Look at the old monk, he's wide awake. You like, huh? He says, I have a question. Go ahead, go for it.
A Di Đà Phật. Thì theo con nghĩ cái Phật tánh, cái chân không đó, nó nhận ra cái biết thành Phật hay không thành Phật, thì nó là cái sản phẩm của cái không đó, thì nó vẫn là không thôi, không cần phải nói cái gì hết. Tức là cái pháp vô sanh, nó từ cái không kia mình nhận ra cái này, mà cần khởi lên nói cái gì nữa. Cho nên ngài Xá Lợi Phất, ngài A Nan nói tụng lâm hết, rồi cuối cùng ngài Di Ma Cật làm thinh, có cái gì nữa mình nói.
No. Go ahead, translate.
So, Master, I think that the Buddha nature is come from the true emptiness. So the fact that you aware whether it's already realized the Buddha nature or not realized, it still come from the non-production. Everything is from the emptiness right there. So that's why you don't need to say anything.
Not true. Anyone who disagrees with the old monk can make a comment. Anyone who agrees with him, forget it. You're wasting my time. After you explained yourself, then I explain to you why he's wrong. I gave you a clue already. He's wrong. Go ahead, 6.
Master, the interchange has to go back and forth between the two to clarify for the 11th patriarch. But it isn't complete until the final exchange. Am I correct?
Yes.
So you have to go through like each level, each question, answer, for it to be complete. I mean, without that...
Here's what happened you guys don't realize at their levels. In order to teach them, they need to be cornered. So they have nowhere else to move, nowhere else to go. And that's when you move in and you for the kill. Because as long as you can weasel out, you can't give them the kill shot yet. Okay. Yes. So it's a knockout. Is you wait for the right time before you knock them out.
When you say that the knockout or the whatever you call that, you're saying that's when it's transmitted.
Well, here's what happened. On the reply from the 10th patriarch to 11th patriarch, whatever I told you, I forgot already. Okay, that thing is a knockout punch. That guy has nowhere else to go. Okay, he's cornered and he delivered. The 10th patriarch delivered knockout punches, and that's why the Chan sparring stopped. He's knocked out. You see, he has to corner him so that he can knock him out. When he's knocked out, lesson learned. He's knocked out, he says, that's it. And then in the process, the 10th patriarch, 11th patriarch got a certain teaching. Then I said, that's a certain teaching, and that's how you teach it. If you get the teaching, then you understand how it's taught. You don't get the teaching, you say, I don't get it, I don't understand. Because you're not being cornered. That's why you don't understand. Unless you're cornered, you don't understand. So far, so good. Okay, don't try to understand. I warned you already. Okay, and you see that's why on 217, with that question and answer, 有这个疑问一答，他就开悟了。Okay, so that transpiring right there, and after that, the 10th patriarch gave him certification. This Master YongHua explained it in Chinese as he 转给他, transmitted the Dharma to him. Actually, it means at that point in time, I believe, I wasn't there, so take it with a grain of salt. I have a big mouth. I speak nonsense. But at that point in time, it is the 10th patriarch responsibility says, you got it. That's the transmission we're talking about. And the Chinese, they disguise it. I don't want you to buy into the Chinese, style of explaining. This basically says, I certify, you got it. It's the 10th patriarch role to confirm that the 11th patriarch got it. That's it. He's done. Job finished. Yes, go ahead, go for it. There's a delay it comes from San Jose. Why is that? And we always lose 1 minute. I'm not complaining. It's break time for me, but technology.
A Di Đà Phật, khi mà tổ thứ 11 trả lời cho tổ thứ 10 thì tại sao mà Du biết là Du không phải là Phật, thì đó là phá cái sự chấp trước của vị thứ 11. tại mình chấp mình là phàm phu, chứ thật ra bỏ cái chấp hết thì mình chính là Phật hiện tiền. A Di Đà Phật.
Wrong. Translate. I told you, you can't understand why he's doing it. You're not supposed to.
So, Master, when the 11th patriarch answered 10th patriarch, say like, how do you know that I am not a Buddha? So when he answered like that, he helps him to get rid of the attachment. So when the attachment of being a phản phu, a normal being. So once you get rid of that attachment, then you become a Buddha.
No, it doesn't work like that. He has to be cornered. Anyway, the old monk says something about Vimalakirti between Manjushri and Vimalakirti. Anyone has any comment? Anyone disagrees with him? Yes. Entitled. Ram.
Thank you for the
Change
privilege.
name again?
Master.
Yes, RAM. Stands for something? Never mind.
With all due respect to the old monk,
Yes.
I don't understand what's being said, but I have experienced transmission. And my experience is there's a substance there. It's not emptiness that I experienced. And there's a word we keep using it to describe the transmission, which is it. It. And I think that it is the thing that's being sent from the 10th patriarch to the 11th patriarch. And to your point, that it or that thing is what the 10th patriarch is confirming is being received. It's a substance. It can't be emptiness. When I've received transmission, I feel different. I feel like I've received something.
Okay. Can't argue with that. Anyone else? Let me explain to you. Okay. This is a problem when you try to synthesize one sutra with the next and the next and the next. You don't understand the circumstances. The conditions are all different. Let me explain for you. Okay. This happens between the 10th patriarch, who is enlightened, and the 11th patriarch, who wasn't enlightened yet. That's why the 10th patriarch chose to teach him and transmit to him the certain teaching that way. All right? So that's one enlightened being to his pupil. That's what he had to do. He chose to do. All right? Now, between Vimalakirti and Manjushri, it's a totally different situation. They're both enlightened. They're both Buddhas. What are you doing commenting about Buddhas? You don't know what they're doing. And let me tell you something you don't know. And this is why you guys can read Vimalakirti Sutra all you want, but you don't know what is happening. What's happening is that you're all making the mistake, trying to understand it. Why Vimalakirti, why Manjushri came and asked Vimalakirti a request to the Dharma of Vimalakirti, and Vimalakirti said nothing. He just said, that's his answer. Okay? Why? First of all, you don't understand that Manjushri is already a Buddha. What is he doing asking the Dharma from another Buddha? That's nonsense. You should not believe what you hear. I didn't. I said, what are you doing? I'm not fool. You're a Buddha. He's a Buddha. You don't need to ask Dharma from each other. So why did he do it? It's for Shariputra. It's for the other Bodhisattvas. So the Buddhas, when they talk to each other like that, is to teach the Bodhisattvas. So the situation is entirely different. Okay? Two Buddhas talking to each other, using that to teach, the Mahasattvas, Bodhisattvas, and Arhats, and Mahayana, and so forth. That's what he was doing. So the interchange between Manjushri and Vimalakirti, are not for us. It's for the people who followed him, primarily Bodhisattvas and Arhats. Whereas the exchange between the 10th patriarch, 11th patriarch are totally different people. All right, continuing, shall we? Later on, we are on 217. He met the great master Ashvaghosha, the 11th patriarch, 12th or 11th? That should be 12. This is wrong. Okay, Ashvaghosha is the 12th patriarch, right? Parshva Punyayasa. Okay, you're right. This should be changed to 12th patriarch. Okay, so this new kid here is very extremely intelligent. This is also a clue for you. He's much more intelligent than the 11th patriarch when the 11th patriarch was received transmission. Is that clear? So you can use the same thing. Is that clear? The fact is that the 12th patriarch, the 11th patriarch, recognized the 12th patriarch is smarter than he was. All right? So the 11th patriarch knew that Ashvaghosha was smarter than he was, and he's ready to receive transmission. Okay? So the 11th patriarch approached the 12th patriarch, to seize an opportunity to teach him lesson. The great teachers have to look for the students. You don't have to worry about it. Okay? You don't have to worry about how come I'm not taught. Because when the 11th patriarch knew that the 12th patriarch was ready to be taught, he had to come look for the 12th patriarch. He cannot afford to wait for the 12th patriarch. The iron is hot. It has to be stricken. Is that clear? All right. So he came and came to him, and because Ashvaghosha recognized this is the 11th patriarch, let's not waste the opportunity, okay? Let's seize the opportunity. He approached me, so it's not my fault that that I didn't go to him and look for trouble. So he asked the 11th patriarch, 我想认识否？得要怎么办？这么能认识否呢？ Okay, so he says, I want to recognize the Buddha. It's not to know. 认识 here to recognize. I would like to recognize Buddha. Okay? So, what do I need to do? The other guy says, I want to accomplish Buddhahood. Okay? This guy, the next pupil says, I just want to recognize Buddha. Different story, different challenge. So far, so good. Fix the English, okay? I would like to recognize the Buddha. What do I do? Okay? While you fix it, we move on to the next slide. So the 11th patriarch replied, 你想要认识佛，不是吗？你不认识，就是佛。So, 不是吗 here is, so you wish to recognize the Buddha. See, he copied the 10th patriarch. You see, the lesson stuck in his mind for many years. lacks originality, if you ask me. He still hurts from that punch, you know. That's why it's stuck in his mind. So you want, huh? So he used the same exact ploy. So you want to recognize the Buddha, huh? So 不是呢 in Chinese translates so, okay? Because remember, he's the insolent one. In the first interchange between 10 and 11, he's insolent. So they retain the insolence from this guy. He's very aggressive. Okay? What cannot recognize the Buddha is it. Okay? Next. So the 12th patriarch says, 这个不认识就是佛，佛既不是，认识吗？佛既不是。This guy is better. That's why he's smarter than the other guy. Okay, Indians are very smart. You know that. Okay. This guy is smarter than the first one. So that's why his sponge has more weight. Okay. So he said, this is very this is so nice, so cool. If you say you say that which does not recognize is Buddha. However, Buddha does not recognize. How can it be? 我连我都认识的，你怎么知道他是佛？ No, no, it's not. I disagree with Master Shenhua. It's not what he's saying. He's saying is that he says, the 12th Patriarch says that if you say that let me explain to you. If you say that part of me that does not recognize the Buddha is actually Buddha, however, Buddha does not recognize. How can it be? So 12 is more tricky than 11th. Let's see how he fixes this problem. So far, so good? Okay, I'm going to the next slide. Okay, so 11th said, immediately said, without thinking. Remember, these people are punching each other, so there's no thinking whatsoever. Okay? 你既然不认识佛，又怎么知道不是佛呢？You don't recognize Buddha as the first phrase. Okay? 又怎么知道不是佛呢？ How do you know it's not Buddha? One word is recognize, the other word is to know. Okay, so with that, the transmission. Okay, so far so good. Translate that and see what else is left. Okay, so the first thing is that so the 11th Patriarch's point is that 这个不认识就是佛即no， 第一是 OK， 为什么你不认识那就是佛 ？That which is not recognized is the Buddha, and the student says, 12th Patriarch says, when you talk about recognizing Buddha, okay. Is the Buddha? Actually, Buddha does not recognize. Okay? And so the teacher says, although you don't recognize Buddha, although you don't recognize the Buddha, how do you know it's not Buddha? So he went from recognition to knowing. Okay, the other guy is tricking him to stay in recognizing, but the teacher says, "No, I'm going to swap it to. Now instead of punching you, I'm going to kick you." Okay? All right. Although you don't recognize the Buddha, okay, next. 219. 220. The Master YongHua explained. He says, after Guru said, so this is the meaning of the sawing. And you say this, and I say that, and we hack at the principle like sawing through a piece of wood. Oh, let's see what the Chinese said. 可是wan应大师有说，这是that's the meaning of sawing. Okay? 就是一样的 saw， 就是这个锯接 whatever， 就说个这个样子我说那这样也这是回来就是一个这的意思No need to say this, it's nonsense. Okay, Punyayasa replied, so this is the meaning of the wood, so what is the meaning of sawing? So you see, so what Ashvaghosha, the 12th patriarch, says, you're playing games with me. I trick you with consciousness. And you say, no, it's not about consciousness. You see, I throw a punch at you, you throw back another punch at me. Okay, that's what it means sawing. Okay? So what happened is at this point in time, Ashvaghosha is still playing games, mind games, with the 11th patriarch. So 11th patriarch had to do a knockout punch or something somewhere, sometime soon. He says, so this is the meaning of wood. So what is the meaning of sawing? So see, 12th patriarch came and said, I want to recognize Buddha. That's a jab. Okay? And he says, what it does not recognize actually Buddha. That's the truth. Okay? But then the other guy continued with the same plane where he stays with recognition. Okay? So he says, but if you say, I'm already a Buddha, how come I still recognize? Okay? So the 11th patriarch says, never mind about recognition. Okay? You know the Buddha. So far, so good? So he's switching. He's switching to the roundhouse kick. Instead of punching him, he's kicking him. Okay? No more punching. New plane. Okay? So the other guys, the 12th patriarch, also changed ploy. He says, you want to switch? I can switch too. Okay? He's smart. He's very smart. He's very fast. He said, so this is what the patriarchs do, huh? They do verbal sparring like this, chant sparring like this. So the reply was that, so the sparring, the sawing, he compares sparring to sawing. So which part? You talk about sparring? Talk about the sparring like a sawing wood? Then what is the wood? What is the sawing? See, by the time, this time here, okay, the 11th patriarch is smarter than the 12th patriarch. It's because he became smarter after the 10th patriarch taught him. So when 11th patriarch met with 10th patriarch, he realized he's not as smart as the 12th patriarch. You understand that? But it doesn't mean he's not smart right now. He's smarter than the 12th. Am I making sense? Yeah, he's not enlightened. The other guy is not enlightened. I don't care how smart you are. You cannot be as fast. No way. Okay? So what is sawing? What is wood? And so the 12th patriarch says, it's just what you are. What is the meaning of wood? And so this guy is playing games again. Okay? He says, 与世秉处和你一样的 This thing here, the Chinese here is wrong. This should be to this part here, because this is still part of the answer in Chinese. Okay? This, huh?
The 与世平出 is originally what Ma Ming Dashi said, and 和你一样的 should be Master Xuanhua's commentary.
Oh, 与世平出 this is what you are. What is the meaning of word? I don't know what it means. 无意是吧? Okay, you're right. Okay, sorry, you're right. Okay. 与世平出木易者. Okay, what is the meaning of wood? I don't know what. I don't understand what 与世平出. What does it mean? Chinese people, help me out. 与世平出. I don't understand 平出. Equally exit? Equally?
I think it's it's even. We're even. It's the same punch.
Okay.
The true is like the punch you give is even.
平出 is equal. 平 is equal.
Like even.
So
We're
chu train,
even.
is it
It's
chu
the same.
train we're talking about? Chu
I think
is
I came from the same perspective.
okay. 与世平出. So okay. Does it mean? Let me see. Let me try this. He's saying that it's a what's a word for that? What's that word? Where we are no winner. What's that word? 9. Yeah.
It's a draw.
It's a draw. 以虚平处. We have a draw. You and me are a draw. You're the patriarch, but I'm a draw. You're in line, I'm not in line, but we have a draw. See, this guy's very, very, very sharp. You like that? Huh? So here, it's a draw. It's a draw. Okay, it's a draw. And what does wood mean? Okay. What is wood? Okay. Brady doesn't like it. You gotta get into boxing, my friend, or martial arts or something. It's that mindset. Okay. He says, this guy, the smart Alex says, you're the patriarch. I'm not patriarch. All I need to do is have a draw with you. Okay? So far, so good. So the 11th patriarch said, you have been sought open by me, just been liberated by me. He says, 汝被我解, I just cut you up. Okay? 这个木头呢, where is the liberated? Huh? Are you missing some quotes here in English? Oh, by the way, this is the first time I read it too, just like you. So forgive me for struggling a little bit. 汝被我解. That's it? That's all the Chinese there is? 被我给给它就是一木头的. So the other guy, the 12th patriarch says, we have a draw. I declare a draw. And the 11th patriarch says, no, I just cut you open. No, I just cut you open. So it's the same lesson from the 6th patriarch. I mean, from the 10th to 11, from 11 to 12. The question is, the lesson is similar in a sense that the 12th patriarch asked to recognize the Buddha. The 11th patriarch says it's not about recognizing, it's about knowing. Okay? We don't have a draw. I just cut you open. Questions, comments? Have we lost anyone? Say the Koreans are all sleepy. And you want to learn, do the Hua Tou. You don't get this, how can you do Hua Tou? Huh? Yes, Nine.
Thank you, Master. So at this point, has the sudden teaching transmission occurred, or is this just like round one?
No, at this point. Here, he was instantaneously enlightened. He left the home life, received transmission, became a whole patriarch. He's called horse cry because when he spoke the Dharma, all the horses cried out. He was a Mahasattva, that is a great being, a great Bodhisattva. Okay, so he became enlightened with that. So what happened is, because him being a smart aleck, it took the 11th patriarch a little bit longer to convert him, which is how the Indians chose to teach themselves. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone has any other questions? Ma Ming is a 12th patriarch. Okay. So again, this is more difficult for you to understand because for between 10th and 11th, it's easier to understand. From 11 to 12, because it's even more difficult for you to understand because this guy is playing games, mind games. Okay? So it's okay. You don't need to understand. All right, can we move on, or you want me to explain it to you? This, to me, the one comment I would have is that if the 11th patriarch simply refused from the very beginning to play games with this guy, then it would be a lot faster. So he had to play games with him. Okay, eventually he had to switch because I'm not playing games with you. All right? Never mind, but that's how Indians train their people. Okay, 223. Master YongHua says, Nagarjuna Bodhisattva, the 14th patriarch, is the one who went to Dragon Palace and brought back the Avatamsaka Sutra. He's very, very wise. Okay? Next. So we go into the list of Indian patriarchs here so far. The 17th patriarch, because it was not until the 28th patriarch, until Bodhidharma, that's when they brought it, Mahayana from India to China. Okay, so 17th patriarch asked Gaya Shatta the 18th patriarch, how old are you? The child replied, I'm 100 years old. And the patriarch said, but you're young, said the patriarch. How can you be 100 years old? Okay, let's go to the Chinese. Okay, now that's another sudden teaching transmission that we're hearing about. Okay. Okay, 班主任呢，说还是孩子，就说他你多大岁数了？How old are you? That's fine. 小孩子说 the kid says, I'm 100 years old. Okay, that's good. 你年纪这么轻，怎么说你呢？Okay, that's fine. Next, 225. So it continues. The kid says, if I were 100 years old and did not understand the Buddha Dharma, I would not be as good as a one-day-old baby who did. So the kid is replied. He says, 我若100岁的，不明白佛的法，也不如生出来1天的小孩子。Okay. If I were 100 years old and did not understand the Buddha Dharma, that would be be as good is nothing. Buru is inferior. Concept of Buru is inferior, not measure up to, okay, not as good. That good is too colloquial. Okay, Buru is I'm inferior. The 1-year-old kid would be better than me. I would be inferior to a 1-year-old child. Okay, even though I'm a young child right now, but if I didn't know the Buddha Dharma at all, then I would be inferior to a 1-day-old baby. Go ahead, Joe Mountain.
Hello. It seems like the Korean translation has some error.
And fix it. I
So
don't
it
speak Korean,
says,
I don't care.
All Buddha's frame instead of Buddha Dharma.
Yeah, Buddha's Dharma.
Yeah, but then in Korean translation, it says all Buddha's frame. So we need to correct it.
I couldn't measure up to a 1-year-old baby who did. Okay? If I were 100 years old and did not understand Buddha Dharma, I said if, I wouldn't be able to measure up to 1-day-old child who did. Okay? Hearing such an intelligent answer, the 17th patriarch let the child lead the home life under him and later transmitted the Dharma to him. Okay? So this is what happens quite often in Buddhism. These people are not ordinary at all. You pay attention to them, they do things that are very, very different from the normal people. Why so? Because they have tremendous blessings. The blessings prevent them from wasting their time, their lives on worldly things. They have a work to do, they have a job to do, they cannot afford to waste time. So these patriarchs, when you look at the history of the Chinese patriarch, I don't know much about the Indian patriarchs, but the Chinese patriarch, look at Ling You, Master Ling You, Wei Shan, Master Yang Shan. You see, you look at life stories, what they do, clearly they are superior people. They don't have the same kind of priorities as we do. That's what differentiates them apart from the rest of us. And Master YongHua, he came born to a very poor family. What did he do? He bowed. At the age of 8, he bowed to the Buddhas several hundred times a day without being told to bow to the Buddhas. That's very unusual. Okay? And then he's able to sit by his mother's grave because she refused to let him shave his head. So for 3 years. Okay? So they do things that are very unusual. They do extraordinary things. They're not unusual. They're not ordinary people at all. It shows through their behavior, not their words. Okay. So the 17th patriarch allowed this child to live the home life, okay, and train him, and later transmitted a Dharma to him. Okay, so made him the 18th patriarch. Okay. Have you ever have to raise a child in a temple? That's amazing to me. I mean, Indians would do that. In the U.S., we have Department of Child Services on our butt all the time. Anyway, yeah. No longer is feasible in our era. Yes, number 9.
Thank you, Master. And apologies for not knowing, but the numbering of the patriarchs, because we're learning from the 6th Patriarch Sutra, but I'm seeing patriarchs that are higher numbered than 6. Is there a different numbering system for the patriarchs?
In India, you start with 1, you go up to the latest one, which is number 27, 28. And then 28 is Bodhidharma. He moved to China. So 28 then became 1. Because 28 is Indian numbering. In India, they recognize him as number 28. However, the Chinese have other ideas. They said, I don't want to do Indian things. I want to do Chinese things. So they said, I don't care if he's 28, but he's the first Chinese patriarch for me. Just like right now. Master YongHua is, I believe, the 40-something patriarch from China. When he came here, he became the first American patriarch. Okay? And now there's a 2nd patriarch, which I don't know what he's doing. Okay? No clues. Okay? So when you move from country to countries, the numbering starts over again, if you will. Okay? So the 6th patriarch is actually the 6th Chinese patriarch, but actually it's number 34. Okay, 226. Sutra text. 15, Arya Kanadeva. 16, Arya Rahulata. 17, Arya Sanganandi. 18, Arya Gaya Shata.
15迦那提婆尊者，16罗侯罗多尊者，17僧伽难提尊者，18伽耶舍多尊者。
227. 19, Arya Kumarata. 20, Arya Jayata. 21, Arya Vashubandhu. 22, Arya Manorita. 23, Arya Haklena. 24, Arya Simha. 25, Arya Vasyasita.
19，鸠摩罗多尊者；20，舍耶多尊者；21，婆修盘头尊者；22，摩那罗尊者；23，赫勒那尊者；24，狮子尊者；25，婆舍斯多尊者。
Okay, next. So on slide 228, the commentary, Master YongHua says, Arya Simsa, the 24th Patriarch, was a native of central India. His practice of the Buddha Dharma. He traveled to Kashmir. The king of Kashmir did not believe in the Buddha, but instead followed two non-Buddhist leaders who were intent on destroying Buddhism. As bhikshus were not allowed within the country, the king demanded of Arya Simha, "Have you ended birth and death?" 就问你了了生死了吗? Okay, next. 229. Arya Simsa wanted to convert the king. "I have ended it," he answered. 已经了了. Okay? The Buddhist teaching says that practicing the Bodhisattva way, you must give up your head, your eyes, your brains, and your blood. You must give up whatever someone happens to need. Now I need your head. Give it to me. Since you have ended birth and death, you must give me your head. Can you do it? Why is there two U's here? Is there a typo? Take it out. Okay, next. 230. "I don't even have birth or death," said Arya Simha. "What does it matter if I lose my head? It's yours. Take it." 可以的。生死都没有了。Okay. 这个头又算一回什么事呢? Okay. So the translation could be improved a little bit. Okay, it should be more precise because you don't want to simplify the words of the patriarchs. 可以的. It says, of course. Of course. Of course, I don't. 我连就生死都没有了。Okay, 都没有了。Okay, I'm done with birth and death. That's what he means. It doesn't mean 没有了. Chinese says 没有. Actually, it says I'm done with birth and death. That's much more precise. Because he's meant to teach the king. I'm done, meaning I came with birth and death. I practice. I ended birth and death. Therefore, from now on, I'm done with birth and death. Does it make sense? The Chinese, 我生死都没有了. It's a Chinese way of saying, but English it means that I'm done with birth and death. Okay? Pay attention to this. You translate it from Chinese to English. 这个头又算什么事呢? 你是呢 chữ cái sự mà nã chữ là ni chữ quản, huh? Guan, what does guan mean? Come on, Chinese people, quickly.
It means like feel free to take it.
Okay, so see, of course, I'm done with birth and death. Arya Simsa says, 这个头又算一回什么事呢？What's in a head? Okay. If 这算什么事呢？你去拿这个又算什么回事？ So what's in the head？ 你只管拿去了。What's in the head? You can take it. So far, so good. You like the English translation? I'm no English, no, I don't look Caucasian, but I'm just insolent. Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. Yeah, I like the translation, but I mean, this escalates pretty quickly. What happens next?
So the reason in English we say you can have it, but actually here it's actually a challenge. You have to take it. There's a subtlety here. When it says 你管拿去了, meaning you have to make an effort. I'm not going to give it to you. You understand the difference? You can have it. It's different when you can take it. Okay? You can have meaning, I give it to you. Here, take it. Whereas he says, you can take it. And I have no resistance. Okay? Yeah. So the king sliced off Arya Simsa's head, but instead of blood, a milky white fluid ran down his neck. Okay, no need for checking the translation. All we care about is the sparring of words. Okay, the English translation has to convey, must retain the intent of the tension. I mean, must retain the tension, must retain the nature of the violence. Okay, 231. The king's arm fell to the ground. No one cut it off. It fell off by itself because he has murdered an arhat. No, he's not an arhat. He's a bodhisattva. Baloney. The Chinese keep on doing that to us. It just confuse the heck out of me. Okay, he said, he's an arhat. Of course he's not an arhat. An arhat cannot do this, I assure you. No way an arhat can do it. No way an arhat can have this kind of talk, can talk like this. No way. It requires prajna wisdom. Okay? So Chinese, this is what I fault the Chinese text. Okay? It causes problems for the translations, causes problems for the people who don't cultivate, and they read these things and say, oh, I understand. Because this is wrong. This is not an arhat. Okay? He killed a sage, an enlightened sage, not just an arhat. That's why you kill an arhat, their arms are going to fall off. Try it and you see. If you don't believe me, just I show you an arhat and you cut him off, cut off his head, and you see, your arm will not fall off, I guarantee it. Or you can have my head too. Yes. 7.
But Master, with like killing Arhat, they fall to achieving hell, don't they?
Yeah, there's the five rebellious offenses, what he's referring to. But it's not an arhat. For us, Westerners, this is imprecise. It causes problems for us. What he means by here, Sha Luo Han, the Chinese here, the Sha Luo Han, this is one of the 5 rebellious offenses would send you to the hells. But when you translate, see, the Chinese have that concept. But for us in English, especially me personally, I see a huge difference between an arhat and a bodhisattva. It's no comparison. Okay, so that's why I struggle with this. I find it misleading, and that's why the young Chinese, they read this and they think arhats and bodhisattvas is the same thing. That's why they're all screwed up. The king then put the 2 leaders of the non-Buddhist religions to death, and there was nothing special about the execution. That's what a king does. Oh, I just cut off, some kind of Buddhist guy. Let's cut off the Catholic's head and see what happens. Anyone? And nothing special. This is blood like everyone else. The king prohibited the non-Buddhist religion and spread the Buddha Dharma widely. So it's a case where I think the patriarch got tired of living, so he said, I'm out of here. I don't like this king. Because if I stick around and he becomes my disciple, it's a lot of trouble. Not worth it. Because he would cut my head off, he can't cut my head off, and then he's going to cut my fingers off, and then torture me, and do all kinds of things to me, so I'm out of here. Let the next patriarch take care of him. Okay, next, 233. 26, Arya Punya Mitra. 27, Arya Prasnyatara. 28, Arya Bodhidharma. 29, Great Master Hui Ke. Okay, the font is a little bit off there. 30, Great Master Sen Can. 31, Great Master Dao Xin.
26不如密多尊者，27般若多罗尊者，28菩提达摩尊者，29慧可大师，30僧璨大师，31道信大师。
Okay. Sutra text 32, Great Master Hong Ren. Okay, and that's the 5th patriarch. 33, I, Hui Neng, am the 33rd patriarch.
32弘忍大师，慧能视为33祖。
Okay, so the 6th patriarch, 235 sutra text. Thus, the transmission has been handed down from patriarch to patriarch. In the future, transmitted accordingly from generation to generation. Do not allow it to become extinct.
从上诸主各有秉承，汝等向后替代流传。
All right. Next, 236. The assembly heard and faithfully accepted what the master had said, bowed and withdrew. Oh, we done. Wait. Let's do the Chinese. I think we're done. Hey, gelato, anyone?
乖，I'm not sure what this. 五令乖无，众人信受，作礼而退。
Okay, I think that's it, isn't it? Oh no, shit. Sorry, take it back. Sutta text. Okay, so the master Hui Neng says, don't let it discontinue. So it seems to me, the one thing we can learn from these slides here, naming all the patriarchs, successor of patriarch, the real lesson here is not the names. The real lesson here is if you guys aspire to become a patriarch, and trust me, I don't know why you would want a patriarch. It's so much trouble. It's not worth it to me personally. So Master Xinhua's lesson is that, okay, this is what I'm hearing. Okay, I'm the 33rd patriarch. I mean, he says, I certify I'm the last patriarch. Okay, and this transmission has been handed down from patriarch to patriarch, meaning that's how we do it in Mahayana. Okay, we have a very powerful statement. We have a patriarch system that's recognized all the way back to Shakyamuni Buddha. And this is only in Mahayana. Nowhere else can you find this. Not in Vietnam, not in Tibet, not in Thailand, you name it. Only in India, all the way through China, now to the US. This is very, very important point. It's only one line, one bloodline. That's it. Okay? This is very important declaration, meaning that this is how Mahayana is flowing from the Buddha to us. Meaning if you want to learn the Buddha's original teaching, it has to be through this bloodline. Why do I repeat it for you? Because it has to be said. Just because you find a lot of materials on the internet, on the books, in the bookstores, you have so many books printed, okay, on Buddhism. Many professors lecture on that. Many monks and nuns lecture on that. But the sixth patriarch says the real Dharma is along that lineage. We have to tell people. Okay? So in the United States, has been transmitted to second patriarch already. And that's my beef with him. You patriarch, what are you doing? Get to work, man. Huh? Do your job, okay? But it turns out it's just a personal thing. All he has to do, according to him, is transmit to the next generation. Oops. You see, isn't that fascinating? The mere fact that this guy only has to transmit to the third generation in the US, that's what he does. Then he's following the sixth patriarch instruction. Because he says, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to die. Okay? And he didn't say that among them, which one is the seventh patriarchs. There are four of them. There's YongHua, Cheng Daoge. There is, the Sheng Hui, right? The smart aleck kid. And then there is a couple more. I forgot. All those four actually were the next patriarchs. So that's how the sixth patriarch transmitted the bloodline, not only to one person, but four people. Okay? So he himself says, I did not let it become extinct. Not only did I not let it become extinct, I made sure the four branches. Okay? Well, that's a Chinese. What do we know? 236. Same bound and we do. Okay, now, there's still time left. You willing to stop here? I think we're almost done. Okay, never mind. I'm trying to see how whether I should speed it up, but no such luck. Okay. Okay. Where are we? I'm trying to slow it down. Okay. I'm not that old. Sutta text 237. On the third day of the 8th month of the year, Wei Chou, the second year of the Xian Tian reign, after a meal in Guo'en Temple, the Master said, "Each of you take your seat, for I'm going to say goodbye."
大师先天2年癸丑岁8月初3日，于国恩寺斋罢，谓诸徒众曰：“汝等各依位坐，吾与如别。”
You know why we always put our hands together, palms together, when the Buddha speaks or the Patriarch speaks? It's to learn to be respectful. If you're respectful in the future, you have a chance to be taught by them. You're not respectful now. When they show up and you near them, they won't bother. They won't give you even a second look. Okay? So we are kind of kissing up to them. What? What's so funny? 238. Fa said, "What teaching Dharma will the High Master leave behind so that confused people can be led to see the Buddha nature?"
法海白言：“和尚留何教法，令后代迷人得见佛性？”
So clearly, Fahai's level is very low, and he has to ask. And he's the one who transcribed this sutra. Can you imagine how much we lost? Huh? I mean, he filtered, like the people who translated this. Remember, if you read only English translation, you lost a lot from a Chinese teaching already, you see? I mean, my translation is not that good either, but it has a little bit more than what they have. And so this guy here, when he asks this question, okay, which he shouldn't, he's an idiot. 239, just like, "Master, teach me. What special teaching are you leaving behind? And who to?" I mean, what kind of stupid question is that? The Master said, "All of you, please listen carefully. If those future generations recognize living beings, they will have perceived the Buddha nature."
师言：“汝等谛听，后代迷人若是众生，即是佛性。”
No, that's not how the Chinese means. Can I give you my version? I mean, this is from the Chinese, but I read it differently. Go ahead, Korea.
Oh, hello. So
Hello.
what does it mean? They will have something, I don't know that. What does that mean?
What?
The last sentence. They will have perceived.
Yeah. Let's try this. And let's not touch them anymore because it's two different ways to look at it. I look at it differently than these people, okay? His disciples. But who am I to tell them? Okay. Now, Chinese here, 后代迷人, okay? It mean, I would change our translation a little bit, okay? All of you, please listen carefully, okay? Confused people 肉世众生, confuse people of the future generations. What happened to them? The Chinese, they lost the miran, they confused people already. You see that? It's incorrect translation. At the least, it's incorrect. You cannot drop a word miran here. It's confused people of the future generations. That's what these things mean. 若是众生, if they can recognize living beings, that is the Buddha nature. That's what the Master taught them. If type it in and you look at my translation versus their translation, it's two entirely different meanings. Two entirely different lessons. They don't understand, that's why they drop the miran. The miran, the confused people, is part of the lesson. Okay? Any questions? We'll leave it at that for people in the future to see. Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. Going back to the patriarch who challenged the king to cut his head off?
Yes. I think it's number 4. The fourth Chinese patriarch was executed.
Thank you, Master. Was that him giving transmission to the next patriarch then? Or did that just happen at a different time?
That happened at a different time. He gave transmission already, so his job is done. So then he says, if I die, I die, so what's the big deal? I'd rather let the 5th patriarch deal with you, you loser. Something like that. You loser emperor. Okay? But then the Chinese, they're not as impolite as we are. Okay. So commentary is nonsense. I should have looked at the Chinese. Okay? So did he explain this? Okay, 241. If they do not recognize living beings, they may seek the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas.
若不是众生，万劫密否难逢。
I'm not done yet. They may seek the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas and still cannot, and will would have and can very difficult to meet. How do you say that in English? That's more literary. Difficult to meet. He may seek the Buddha for 10,000. You don't want to throw out many aeons. This is nonsense. 1劫, Chinese here, is the context of countless kalpas, not just many aeons. Okay, so this is a wrong translation. They look for the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas, and yet, and still can't find him. Yes, 9.
Master, might that first sentence be reworded? If they do not recognize living beings, they may search for the Buddha for countless kalpas and still can't find him.
Yeah, they may search for the Buddha, search for the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas. One, you have to translate the one here. It's not countless. It's 10,000. It's the Indian version or the Chinese version of many that you don't want to count. The Chinese, they're very bad with arithmetic. 10,000 is way overwhelming for them. Don't look at me, I'm Vietnamese. And still can't find him. It's close enough. Okay? We're not doing literary thing here. I'm more interested in teaching you how to punch people, not say poetry. Okay? So if the patriarch says, if you do not recognize living beings, then you can look for 10,000 kalpa and still can't find him. Okay? That's his truth. This is true. Why not? What's the lesson here? What is the point here? He's teaching. This is consistent with the other teaching. Okay? Confuse people of the future generation when they can recognize living beings, that is a Buddha nature. Okay? That's one teaching. This next teaching is that if, on the other hand, they cannot recognize living beings, okay, then they may try to look for the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas. They won't find him. They won't find him. They may seek to the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas. They won't find him. Change it the way they won't find him. Much stronger. Okay? This is an assertion. He says, I don't care. If you don't recognize living beings, then they can look for the Buddhas for as long as they want. They won't find him. For sure. Question from Korea. All the Koreans are asleep except for Kimchi Lady. Hey, Kimchi Lady, how are you today? I can't wait to go to Korea and eat your kimchi. Oh, God, it's been so long. Go ahead.
마스터, 빨리 오십시오. 간절히 원합니다. 빨리 오시길. 마스터, 올 겨울에 공파를 가고 싶는데 가도 되겠습니까?
Master, please come early. Please come quickly. I expect you to come. I wish to go there during winter to practice. Is it okay?
Yeah, please come. You come here and we make some kimchi for you. Her kimchi is, I've eaten so many kimchis in my entire life, and nothing comes close to hers. Yeah, really. I swear to God.
저번에 김치에 비하가 안 됩니다. 정말 신나게 맹세합니다.
Yeah. Anyway, so where was I? I got distracted.
Master.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Korea. Yeah.
Master, how do we recognize living beings?
What does he mean? What do you think he's telling you?
Them so we can find the Buddha nature in them. That's what I think.
That's right. This is the perfect teaching. This is no longer certain teaching. This is perfect teaching. He migrated from certain teaching in a prior interchange to now perfect teaching. It's perfect teaching. What are you asking for? Go to Oakland. Here, let me explain to you. It's fine. It's so disappointing. Okay. Here's what he's trying to teach you. This is the perfect teaching. That's why none of the Chan people got it. Okay? The Chan people, they understand certain teaching at best, but they don't understand perfect teaching. That's why Master Shewa didn't bother explaining to them. If you call them Chan students. Listen carefully. Okay, listen carefully. So pay attention. Confused people, future generation, that means us. Okay? If we can recognize living beings, that is the Buddha nature. Meaning what? Can you recognize living beings? Okay? When you recognize living beings, it is your Buddha nature that recognizes living beings. Who else? What else? That's why it's called a perfect teaching. Are you going, huh? Well, that's why after this we need to go into the Avatamsaka Sutra. Don't you get it? I'm paving the way for you. I mean, this is next step up. You see that? He graduating you. He went a certain teaching, now perfect teaching. Yes, Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Dạ thưa thầy, con có cái sự hiểu như thế này là bởi vì tâm Phật và chúng sanh là cùng một thể. Và nếu mình dùng tâm phân biệt để mình chia ra đây là chúng sanh, đây là Phật, đây là tâm, thì cái tâm phân biệt đó không có thể nào mà hòa nhập được với Phật tánh. A Di Đà Phật.
Okay, translate.
Master, this is what I understand. So the Buddha's mind and the living being's mind are of the same substance. So if you use the discrimination mind to say, oh, this is the Buddha's mind, this is the living being's mind, then you cannot, what do you mean, hòa với Phật tánh? You, sorry, I don't know how to translate that. Sir, can you help?
I don't want to. Merge with the Buddha nature.
Yeah, if you use the discrimination mind like that, you cannot merge with the Buddha's nature.
YouTube, go ahead.
Su Tran says, living beings are our afflictions and our poisons.
How depressing. Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật. Con thấy chúng sanh hằng hà sa số chúng sanh thành cái gì vô quả báo của họ mỗi cái chúng sanh, nhưng mà cái biết, cái nhận biết của họ một cái Phật tánh, cái biết nó giống nhau. Như trong cái Đại Bi Sám nói đó, cùng chư Phật giống nhau, nhưng mà vì cái khởi lên vô minh mà một niệm vô minh nó khởi lên thì nó different. Mà chúng sanh thì cái biết nó giống nhau hết, nhưng mà khác, chúng ta thấy cái hình tướng khác do là quả báo của họ.
Okay, very good. Q&A, continue. That's it? Is that the best you got? Okay, it is a perfect teaching. It basically says, even if you're confused, we are confused. Okay? You are confused, right? You know you're confused. Yes? Even though you are in a state of confusion, your ability to recognize a cat, never mind about a living being, let's talk about a cat, or a dog, or a crocodile, or a woman. Okay? That's living being, no? You name any. What do you want to recognize? Mike, what do you want to recognize? You don't care. Pandas? Yes, 9.
If you ask me what I want to recognize, I'd like to recognize the Buddha
Viet
nature.
Cong. He was in Vietnam and he could not tell Viet Cong from a Vietnamese.
Oh.
True?
No, I would like to recognize Buddha nature within humans.
How would it help you survive in Vietnam? You recognize the Buddha and you don't recognize the Viet Cong. Just kidding, I'm toying with you. Very good, Buddha nature. Yes, YouTube, go ahead.
Su Tran says, recognizing our faults, we can return to goodness and our Buddha nature.
No, I'm looking for a living being. Don't tell me about your faults. God, she's boring. Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. I would like to recognize the ant that was crawling on my leg while I was crossing my legs.
And that's a living being. Yes, absolutely. Who else? You see, living beings. I'm trying to explain to you when he talked about living beings, meaning any living being. Don't be caught by the word living beings. It's any living being. A dog, a cat, an ant, a cockroach, cucaracha. One likes it. Huh? Cucaracha. You know what it means, guys? Huh? It's from that movie. That's why I learned my Spanish. Cucaracha. Okay? So, if we can recognize a living being, okay? Any living being, okay? Okay, if we confused people, can recognize any living being, that ability to recognize is the Buddha nature. Is it clearer now? That's what he says. This is why it's called perfect teaching. That's why there's no way them people can understand, translate this. They cannot even understand certain teaching, let alone perfect teaching. So far, so good? Next. Yes, go ahead, Korea.
Does that mean any living being is a Buddha nature, he's saying?
Yes, honey, you have to go back to the US. Your Korean diet is not helping.
Does this include a ghost too?
Okay, go ahead, YouTube.
Su Tran says, recognizing living beings is inclusive of all. Oneness is the way of Buddha compassion.
I don't care about compassion. It's the Buddhist thing. I'm only concerned about recognizing living beings right now. Listen, If you can recognize a living being, it's your Buddha nature that does the recognition. That's all there is to it. That's why it's called perfect teaching. You no need to understand, no need to explain. It just is. That's why it's called perfect. Nothing to explain. YouTube, go ahead.
Sutran says living beings and the Buddha are the same substance.
I'm still at recognition. I don't care about substance. Okay, next, 241. If they do not recognize living beings, okay, they may seek the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas. They won't find him. I want you to make the correction. They may seek the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas, comma, they will not find him. It's a very strong assertion. They will not find him. Okay? He's talking about, see, remember, even though you're confused, in the midst of your confusion, you're able to recognize Michael. Is he a living being or not? He's not. Okay, never mind. Can I use you? Okay. It's like I'm looking for a volunteer. Come up and, and let me cut you up in half. Okay, so if whoever you are, and we know you're confused, because you're a future generation, we are a future generation, we're all confused like heck, okay? However, as long as we can recognize a living being, any living being, that recognition right there comes from the Buddha nature. So far, so good. Assertion, no discussion, that's it. Is it clear? That's why it's perfect teaching. No discussion, no transpiring, okay? None of the above. Just is. You better know this from your Buddha nature, whether you're Catholic or Buddhist or Taoist or Vietnamese or Saudi Arabian, it doesn't matter. It's your Buddha nature that enables you to recognize. That's all. So he's talking about living being. He means recognition is actually comes from Buddha nature. That's what he means. So far, so good? Okay, next. If they do not, okay, they may seek the Buddha for 10,000 kalpas, they will not find him. If they do not, what does it mean if they do not recognize living beings? Don't answer Catholic. Huh? What does it mean if they do not recognize living beings? Yes, 9.
They're terribly afflicted.
More than confused? They're confused already.
They're afflicted because they can't see the Buddha nature. Their Buddha nature is not strong enough to see the Buddha nature in living beings.
No. Okay. You see how you didn't even notice how I avoided criticizing the old monk and the old lady in San Jose. I didn't give him an answer, but I give you a straight answer because I'm not afraid to lose you. Because we can make friends after the lecture, I can make it up to you, but not in San Jose, too far away. You see, I'm very gentle with old people when they're far. If they do not recognize living beings, this means what? It means that they fail to recognize living beings because they don't have the Buddha nature. How can they recognize anything? I told you not. Is that clear? It's perfect teaching again. It's how can you not recognize living being? You can recognize living being. If you tell me that you don't recognize living, if you say that I'm Republican, you not American, I'm American, I'm white, you not a real person, you not really a living being, okay? Then you not confused. You just impossible. Same thing. If you say, I'm a Democrat, you Republican, I don't recognize you. There's no such a thing. We pick on Republicans, but you got it? Or he's Catholic. Come on. He's not supposed to know anything. Excuse me. Right? I said, oh, he's Catholic, he doesn't know anything. Then you don't have the Buddha nature either. You see how powerful the argument is? Don't reject people. There's no need for that. I don't recognize you. You're GI, you Vietnamese, you white, you yellow, you are not, you black, whatever. It's nonsense because your Buddha nature knows. And you're telling me you don't want to recognize this and that? It's nonsense. We are all brothers. My friend. That's why I like to say we're all Vietnamese. Go ahead. 7.
I have a quick question. So how would you describe...
You know what time it is?
No. How would you describe Buddha nature? Or what is Buddha nature exactly? I have the concept, but I don't understand it completely.
It would take forever, my friend. Q&A, quickly.
Thầy như vậy đó, thầy nói đúng ý trong cái trang 49 của Commission Mantra đó, giống y vậy đó. Thì bây giờ từ chỗ đó mình nhận biết những cái xung quanh của mình. Thì những cái nhận biết xung quanh là do cái Phật tánh nó nhận ra, mà Phật tánh này Ngài Huệ Năng nói là bổn lai vô nhất vật. Cho nên mới nói là cái vật mình nhận ra đó là nó vô sanh. Là and quickly realize no birth, cái đó phải không?
Yeah, something. He's old. Don't touch him. Yeah, very good. You see, and I took a stab in the dark because that's what he explains later. He says, I teach you how to recognize living within your mind, how to see Buddha nature from there. It's a perfect teaching. Okay? It's totally not the way it's translated in English here. They're way off. They're way off base. Way off. And this an abomination because it's not acceptable. You cannot destroy this great Chinese sage like this teaching. His teaching is so wonderful. Okay? What are they doing? What is these people are doing? Destroying this sixth patriarch teaching for people like us who don't speak Chinese at all. They want to keep it for the Chinese. Now we have to go to China to learn and follow Xin Hui to China. It takes too long, my friend. This is just, for you, it's just one bite at a time. Okay, next time we continue. Is it okay? Huh? This is so fantastic. 243. Hey, Chinese person. Thank you, everyone that's helped these people go to the Pure Land. Huh?